Hi everyone. So my name is Emma. I'm one of the diabetes dietitians from St Helens Diabetes Centre. If this is being played right now, it's probably because I've been having difficulties finding an available computer to do this presentation, or that the generator has caused some difficulties technically with the computers in St Helens Hospital as predicted. So I hope that you find this just as useful as you would if I was actually there to talk to you all. But it just means that this is now recorded, so people who aren't there can also listen to this presentation too. So what we're going to be focusing on is menopause, diet and lifestyle, and how it can help you manage the symptoms of the peri and menopause. So what we'll be covering with what happens during the menopause: weight gain, bone health, heart health, plant estrogens, caffeine, alcohol, food and mood, and obviously a summary. So, what happens during the menopause? So from the Menopause Cafe, you're probably aware yourselves of what's actually happened during the menopause, but I'm going to try and make this relatable to what I'm going to speak about later. So during the menopause, your body can change in many different ways, mainly due to falling estrogen levels, which can cause irregular or heavy periods, and you could potentially lose your fertility, and then eventually after a year, you'd lose the fertility, which would be the menopause. You may notice other physical changes, for example, high blood pressure, change in cholesterol levels, losing calcium from bones, weight gain, hot flushes, night sweats, irritability, and poor concentration, which are mostly or mainly due to falling estrogen levels. And you can make diet and lifestyle changes to help manage these symptoms, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So, weight gain. With the menopause, what can typically happen is that there can be a reduced muscle mass and therefore less metabolically active organ. It's a smaller weight to the metabolically active organ in the body, which means fewer calories are likely to be burned, which means that less calories will be burned from the body, and therefore what you're eating won't be burned and more likely to be stored as fat. So over time, this can lead to weight gain, which is already hard enough. So weight gain is an incredibly challenging thing to do. It's not as easy as putting weight on, as we're all very aware of. But during the menopause, it can make things a lot more challenging. So it's thinking about three main things: calories, portion sizes, and activity levels too. So hopefully I'll be able to talk you through how to help with some weight loss if that is something that you're looking at doing. So a little fact as well, just to make you aware, is that 30 minutes of fast walking a day could lead to around 7 kg or 15 pound weight loss in a year. So again, it's thinking about how to integrate these into your lifestyle too, and how to make weight loss something that should be incorporated and sustainable in your lifestyle too. So moving on to exercise, being more physically active may help with some of the menopause symptoms. For example, reducing hot flushes, managing weight, lifting your mood, improving self-esteem, helping you sleep, and also reducing anxiety. So even starting off with 10 minutes a day of activity, walking, running, dancing, skipping, YouTube, yoga videos, walking the dog, just running around the house, up and down the stairs, whatever it is that makes you happy and is sustainable in your lifestyle, get moving, because there's some research to show that activity can really help with these symptoms. And you may find that it's just great for your mental health as well, because getting outside is great and you'll be really proud of yourself by doing some activity. I've used this infographic here as well from the NHS website, which is really useful just to visually show how much exercise is required to build strength and to keep you balanced and to help reduce the risk of complications in the future, as demonstrated above. But it's trying to go for moderate exercise a week. It's like 150 minutes, or vigorous activity, which is a lesser amount of time. Building strength, not just going to the gym and using weights unless that's something you like to do, but carrying bags. So rather than online shopping, try and carry things yourself and think about using them little flexible the bands as well, which are really useful, the elastic bands for resistance, and just having a nice time with exercise too. So I'm going to focus on some basic advice for losing weight, which is quite difficult to do through a presentation when I'm not actually there. So I'll stick with the key things that I find in my clinics to be effective for patients who are looking at losing weight with type 2 diabetes. And from a dietetic point of view, these are fundamental things to help support weight loss. But obviously, everything is it's individual to everyone, and everybody's body is different. So what is the simplest and easiest way to start losing weight is literally using something like a portion plate guide. It's looking at changing what you're eating if you feel a change is needed. For example, having half a plate of vegetables, quarter slow release carbs, and quarter low fat protein. Again, not everyone's plate can look perfect in that type of half and 2 quarters, but as long as you trying to aim for something that has the appropriate proportions on your plate. Like, start off with the veggies, low in calories, keeping you feeling really full. It has tons of goodness to it as well. Slow release carbs like your brown fibrous versions, new potato, sweet potato, brown pasta, seeded bread. And you're looking for low fat protein options, vegetarian options, lentils, chickpeas, or eggs or fish, white meat, and then your red or processed meat, which are likely to be higher in fat. So literally stick it to something like this. You may find it's the simplest but most effective tool for losing weight. Reading the labels. So get reading them labels. Honestly, you may be surprised at a simple change that is needed to just change how much fat or sugar that you're having in your diet. Looking at your cereals and comparing the sugars on them, going for the lowest fat of crisps that's in the shop, and you can't taste any different, but your body will respond very differently by not storing as much fat or sugar. This little guide here is per 100 gram. So it's by law, every food package has to have per 100 gram on. So you can use this little guide here to look at the amount of sugar, saturated fat, salt of every food per 100 gram. You may also find this effective to kind of cut out and put in your purse or take a photo on your phone, just so when you look around the shops you can use this. There's also a Change for Life food scanner app, which is really effective as well for just scanning the barcodes of food and looking for the traffic light symbols on them, or just using the traffic light symbols in the front of the food too. But I would suggest using this because you may be pleasantly surprised or very surprised in a different way of what you're eating by looking at the food labels. If you're cooking things fresh and they don't come in plastic packaging or they don't have labels on them, you may find that's the easiest thing because you know exactly what's in there and that's what you're looking at, which could be a broccoli or spinach or something like that. Healthy snacks, again, if you're a snacker, changing the types of snacks to a low calorie, low fat, low sugar type of snacks, but still gives you that kind of sweet craving. So, for example, things like fruit or vegetable sticks with low fat cream cheese, a small handful of unsalted nuts, boiled eggs, rice cakes, peanut butter. There's loads of little healthy snacks that you can trial, and again, there's lots of healthy snacks on the Change for Life website, which is really effective too. Getting active, which we've said before, is really, really effective for helping you lose weight. 1, by helping you burn extra calories. 2, by distracting you if you did feel like having something to eat, like a little snack. And also 3, giving you that positive reinforcement and that kind of healthy mindset to keep you going too. I don't know if anyone's tried the Couch to 5K, but that is a really, really useful NHS app that can gradually get you to running 5K from not running at all. I've had a lot of people who've used this and they have found it really effective. Also seeking support from a dietitian or a member of the weight management team if there is any in the St Helens area. There are some supportive groups there, but you may find that general advice isn't enough. You need some one-to-one specific individualised advice, and you can find dietitians working throughout the country that can help support weight loss. I've also put on here digital weight management services, which is offered for staff working in the NHS, which is a free online access to 12-week weight management programme. It can basically support you with articles, advice, tips on enjoying regular activities or enjoying regular healthy foods to help achieve your goals. So this is something that you wanted to do, then you could always go ahead and download this. And I think Health, Work and Wellbeing have promoted this quite a few times on their emails. So we've come on to bone health now. So with bone health, from the age of about 35, we slowly lose calcium from our bones, and also losing estrogen from during menopause increases the rate of loss, which can increase the risk of osteoporosis. Also, taking HRT can help maintain estrogen levels and help protect bone health too. Choosing a variety of different foods and nutrients to help keep bones healthy is really important. So again, eating the rainbow, getting them colours into your diet is really, really important. And then obviously calcium from calcium-rich foods, for example, dairy, like milk, yogurt, cheese, or nuts or green leafy vegetables. Or if you don't want dairy, you can go lactose-free, or soya or almond milk or whatever alternative milks it could be, or yogurts, and make sure the calcium fortified and iodine fortified too. There is also, if you go onto the British Dietetic Association website, there's also a food fact sheet on calcium, which I find really, really useful to see whether you get enough calcium in your diet. If you want to ask me where to get this from, you can email me, and my email's at the end of this presentation. Okay, so vitamin D. Vitamin D is also very important for bone health. It's often known as the sunshine vitamin. Skin makes vitamin D in response to light, but this is mainly through the months of April to September. So through them months, we're very likely to be getting enough vitamin D. However, geographically, it is quite difficult where we live, whether we get the right wavelength for our skin to create the vitamin D. Even if you have a really calcium-rich diet, for example, lots of low-fat dairy food and green leafy vegetables, if you don't have enough vitamin D, your body cannot use the calcium for your bones and the cells where it's needed. So it may be worth considering a daily vitamin D supplement of 10 micrograms, especially during the autumn and winter. And it is also recommended for women over the age of 65, if they have an African, Caribbean, South Asian background, or low sunlight exposure, it might be worth taking a vitamin D supplement as well. You can also get vitamin D from your foods. It is quite difficult to do that. That's why a supplement is really important to take, and you can get them over the counter. But a daily 10 micrograms vitamin D supplement is quite accessible in different supermarkets or pharmacies. Things like oily fish, soya-rich dairy, soy-rich kind of yogurts and milk, and also eggs are a good source of vitamin D too. So moving on to a healthy heart. So with the menopause, it can increase the risk of developing heart disease, and eating a heart-healthy diet can reduce the risk of heart disease by reducing cholesterol levels and also blood pressure too. So again, in my clinics, I often focus on a heart-healthy diet for individuals with diabetes or high cholesterol levels. And again, there are many different ways to help reduce that risk that can actually add things into your diet rather than just taking things away. So it's nice to think that it's adding some nice foods into your diet, and it's basically like following a Mediterranean style diet, which is really nice and tasty. It's one of the most sustainable diets that you can follow rather than kind of like a calorie restricted diet. So it's things like reducing saturated fat and replace with unsaturated fat. So like things like your processed meat, red meat, butter, cream, cheese, biscuits, cakes, crisps. Try and replace them as much as you're able to with nuts, seeds, fish, olive oil, avocados, pulses, things like that. Like just add them into the meal. So you, for example, it could be if you're making a chili or a spaghetti or something that includes mince, maybe using half the amount of mince and adding some lentils in. You won't taste any difference. You'll feel fuller. You've got less calories, less fat, less saturated fat, and more fibre. So it's kind of marrying up the two and trying to make it fit in with your lifestyle. Also, as I've said before, nuts and seeds, using them as a snack. trying to have less of the refined sugars like sweets, cakes, and soft drinks. Go for your diet versions, or just some water, or something like that. Instead, it's going to be a lot more effective for your health. Reducing salt into your diet to reduce the risk of high blood pressure. So try not to add salt into your foods, and just reading the labels. Big things like your stock cubes, just check the labels on them, and you'll find that the low salt one is going to be a lot better. Having a bit more oily fish, so it's advised if you can try and have two sources of fish a week, one of which is oily, so that could be salmon, pilchard sardines, mackerel, trout, herring, kippers, fresh or tinned, whatever it is that you enjoy. Trying to offer one portion of them and then another, yellow or white fish in the week. Aim to get you 5 a day from a different colour of fruits and vegetables every day, which we've said before. And then swap to high fibre foods, I think we've previously mentioned, which are really heart-friendly. Things like pulses, lentils, chickpeas, brown rice, brown bread, seeded breads. This type of Mediterranean-style diet has been shown to be quite effective at reducing the likelihood of heart health, especially in the menopause too. So what about plant estrogens? So plant estrogens, or also called phytoestrogens, are similar to human, quite similar to human estrogen. If taken in the kind of irregularly in enough sufficient quantities, they can start to have mild estrogen-like effects, which can be useful if estrogen levels can decline. They can be sufficient to relieve menopausal symptoms too. There's been a little bit of evidence on this, but it can differ from women to women depending on many, many, many different factors in the body. It could be hormones, it could be gut bacteria, and there could be many factors that can make this type of advice very personal to the individual. Foods that are high in phytoestrogens are normally soy-based foods, so your soy-based yogurts or milk. Lentils and sesame seeds are good sources of your phytoestrogen, so it might be worth adding these into the diet. A couple of key facts, so it can take about 2 to 3 months for benefits of these plant estrogens to be seen. As I said, it can differ from woman to woman depending on many different factors. Consuming a small amount of phytoestrogens a day could be more effective in comparison to one larger dose at once. So again, as I said, integrate things into your diet so you can have them sustainably. And they're also heart-friendly, so we think back to the previous slide, you can see that things like your low-fat dairy, your lentils, chickpeas, seeds, all these things are really good for your heart and also potentially really good for your menopausal symptoms too. Okay, so caffeine and alcohol. Individuals may find that caffeine and alcohol can make hot flushes worse. So if you do find that it's exacerbating any menopausal symptoms, maybe try and moderate the intake of caffeine from different sources, for example, tea, coffee, chocolate, Coke, different types of soft drinks. So just thinking, can I reduce the amount? If you're having 15, maybe have 10. If you're having 10, maybe have 5. Choose caffeinated tea or coffee or Coke, just looking at the decaf options. Usually you can't taste much difference, but again, it depends on who you are as a tea coffee lover. But you may find that your symptoms may start to reduce if you do make the switch from caffeine to decaffeinated. And again, with alcohol, try and keep to the recommended, try and keep under the recommended alcohol limits if you can through the week. So this is just a little quick little example here which shows how much alcohol or less the NHS and Public Health England will be looking at a week to try and reduce risks of complications, but also from a menopausal point of view, if you do find alcohol exacerbates hot flushes or your symptoms, then it may be replacing, if you do have large glass of wine, maybe have a small one and mix it with some lemonade. If you drink pints, maybe have a bottle instead of a pint of lager instead. So I put this kind of last little part into this presentation because I found it was quite effective from looking at the research, and also from being a dietitian I find that food and mood is particularly important, and balancing up quality of life with health is also important to continue with the dietary changes and to make it sustainable too. So what I found is that what can affect my energy, mood, and brain function. So if you are feeling quite groggy or tired and thinking, can food actually affect this? The best thing I've found is what I thought, is that you might not be getting enough vitamins and minerals. Aim to get a healthy, balanced diet with plenty of fruit and veg and all your vitamins and minerals. So after looking into it, I was thinking, oh, it might be quite complex. And honestly, it comes down to a healthy, balanced diet, getting all the things your body requires for your brain to function efficiently. However, there are some other things that you may want to consider too. So other foodie factors to consider to improve mood. Are you getting enough carbs to feed your brain? So your brain does use a lot of energy from carbohydrates. So again, thinking, are you restricting your carbohydrate intake? Is it worth adding a little bit more into your diet? And again, focusing on the high fibre options. New potatoes with that skin on, brown basmati rice, seeded bread. So you're getting the fibre and you're getting the energy from the same thing too. So that might be worth thinking about. Also, we don't just eat to satisfy physical hunger. Many of us turn to food for comfort, stress relief, and also to reward ourselves. So you may find that your mood may be affected with eating or vice versa, which may potentially be a potential comfort eating or emotional eating. And some individuals may relate to what's called the emotional eating cycle. So something that may trigger low mood or upsetting or anxiety. You feel overwhelmed, and eating might help with that feeling. But you eat more than what you know you should, and then the guilt and the powerless over food will trigger something else that'll make you eat again. And it's a more known thing in dietetics to support mental health and attitudes towards food, and how food can be there to make us aware of maybe there's something else in the background that we may need to support rather than just education with food. So there's a guide that I found, and actually it was a clinical psychologist that sent me this about emotional eating. And if you do feel as though this may be something you'd like to look into, then I would really recommend reading this article. Again, at the end, you want to email me for looking at the link again, you can do. If you do feel as though you're, what you eat during the day or snacks, if you do think it is related to low mood or anxiety, then there are some primary support care teams, for example, Think Wellbeing, which might be beneficial. They can potentially help people to manage those issues and develop coping strategies, which itself may decrease the likelihood of comfort eating itself. And then again, there's just one other thing is too much caffeine in the diet. So sometimes your mood can be affected by the amount of caffeine. Again, we're coming back to that, but it may trigger anxiety or low mood, and decaf options or fewer teas and coffees through the day may really be helpful. Rather than going cold turkey straight away, though, if you are planning on stopping your caffeine intake, maybe go slow just to, again, reduce the likelihood of them kind of withdrawal headaches, or seek support from your GP if you do feel as though it will be a substantial decrease in caffeine intake too. Again, I have put another infographic here which demonstrates the complexity of factors affecting dietary intake or our dietary intake. It's not just we want to eat that bit of bread there. It has many different factors that basically affect why we choose to eat certain foods, which could be looking at the environmental place that you're working or where you're shopping, how much that the cost of the foods, the marketing of the foods, where you are when you're eating the food, the availability, the understanding, looking at your habits and what that food represents to you. So I think looking at food, especially during, in the Menopause Cafe, if you do feel as though your symptoms are causing you to, eat more food than usual because of your mood or your environment, again, it might be worth seeking out support from a registered dietitian. And again, it would be the GP that can refer you to a dietitian, but it's understanding how your food is a lot more than just there to feed you. It is there to maintain your bone health, your heart health, to help you get through the day. There's many different things. I think it's good just to stop for a minute and just think about the different factors that are contributing towards our decision to eat a certain type of food. So what, again, I just want to show you here, which I really kind of want to encourage from a dietitian perspective, is the importance of balance, okay? Balance the quality of life of enjoying foods, and also balance of your health too. Both of these will help to encourage and support and sustain the positive dietary and lifestyle changes you hopefully will start to make from this presentation today. But I always think this is quite a key message to take home, is sustainability is key, and make it suit your lifestyle. So to summarise, a lifestyle approach to the menopause may help to reduce menopausal symptoms, help maintain bone density, reduce the risk of heart disease. Take regular, moderate exercise, especially weight bearing and muscle strengthening exercises, and as I said, make it integrated into your life and what you can do. Eat a heart-healthy diet, lots of colours, 5 portions a day, and 2 to 3 portions of calcium-rich food every day. Reduce caffeine to help manage hot flushes, and maintain steps to achieve a healthy body weight too. Finally, any questions? But as I said, if this is a recording, you can't really ask questions right now. So you can email me, and I'm very happy for you to just drop me a question on the internal email address book, or you can contact Bernie and she can ask me directly if that's easier for you. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope you took away at least 1 or 2 key things to help support you during this time. As I said, I'm happy for any questions, and thank you very much for listening.